Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our second Lunch and Learn program, An Introduction to Google Sheets. This is TFL librarian Sharon, and I'm so happy you're joining us today. If you did attend or watch the video of our first Lunch and Learn program on Google Docs, the initial part of our program may be a little bit of a review. If you'd like to skip ahead, you can absolutely do so. Otherwise, I hope you get something new out of what we're going over today. So Grow with Google is an initiative to help people prepare for work, find jobs, and grow their businesses. Job seekers can grow their skills in order to find new jobs and advance their careers. Teachers can learn how to put the latest technology to work inside and outside of the classroom. And small business owners can build their online presence and find new customers. So we have a little something for everyone. For our workshop today, we're going to be talking about how to use one of the Google applications, Google Sheets. Our sample exercise today is going to be to use Google Sheets to plan an event. We're going to use the sheets to list and track tasks associated with the event. Say we're party planning, it might be things like getting supplies, assigning work to other people to do, things like that. To begin though, let's talk about how we get started with Google Apps. We have to be able to start with the apps before we can get to a specific one. So the first step is always going to be to sign into our Google account. We're seeing an animation on the screen here of just how we do so. If you don't already have a Google account, it is free to register for one, and it will give you access to Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Slides, and the cloud storage service Google Drive. So we have a lot of options for free. Signing into your Google account allows you to access all the products you see on my screen: Sheets, Docs, Slides, as well as Google Photos, Google Chrome, and Gmail. After you've signed into the Google account, you're going to use the Google Apps menu to move between applications. The icon for that is this one right here in the center of my screen. I always think it looks like a window pane, but really it's a square of squares. Whenever we see that, we know that that is our list of applications that we can access and move between applications. So our second step is going to be to access the Google Drive. So once we've signed in, we're going to click on that pane of panes icon right here, close to my initial or my picture, and we're going to select from that list the Google Drive icon. Or alternatively, if we'd like to go directly to the type of application we want, you'll notice that we could also select Google Sheets from this menu right here. So we could start at Drive, or we could go directly to Google Sheets if that's exactly what we know we're looking to use. What you're seeing on my screen is at first Google Drive. So Google Drive allows you to store, access, and share files like documents, slideshows, forms, and photos in one place. Instead of being stored on one computer, your Google Drive files are actually stored in the cloud. What is the cloud? The answer is it's a safe place on the internet where you can save important information and access it from anywhere. After you save something on your Google Drive, you can access it from any computer, smartphone, or tablet with internet access. Files stored on Google Drive won't get lost, even if your computer crashes, or if you're like me and you forget your USBs everywhere, that won't be an issue anymore. You don't even have to remember to click Save, which is another thing I'm terribly guilty of. This is what your Google Drive is going to look like initially, this blank page here. If you've never created anything with Google Apps before, it's going to be empty. But after we start creating projects in Google Apps, they're going to be stored here. So let's get started with thinking about how we would plan an event using Google Sheets. Chances are you've had to plan some kind of event before. Maybe it was a lunch meeting or fundraiser at your workplace, a family reunion, a community yard sale, a church fundraiser, etc. So you know that even a simple event can be a lot of work. Before the event starts, you're going to need to find a location, purchase supplies, market the event to ensure good attendance. The list goes on and on. So you might already know that Google Sheets, which is very, very similar in functionality to Microsoft Excel, can be used to analyze numbers and other data. But you can also use Sheets for much more than that. For example, you could create a budget, a schedule, a timesheet, or even a roster for, say, a sports team. Digital tools like Google Sheets can make it easier to keep all this information organized and to share it with other people. Now, while you could always create a new blank project, Google Drive also has a library of time-saving templates. At the end of the day, if I need to make a to-do list, probably several million other people need to as well. We're going to save ourselves a lot of time by not starting from scratch every single time we need a type of file. So Google Sheets actually has a template that's going to work perfectly for us because it's actually called to-do list. Can't ask for more than that, right? So just as we're seeing on my screen, once we're in Google Drive, we're clicking on the New button, then clicking the arrow next to Google Sheets to reveal a drop-down menu, and then we're selecting the option from a template. As I mentioned before though, if we had something very specific in mind already, we could also just start with a blank worksheet. Once we've selected from a template option, we're going to see the template gallery with lots of templates for work and for home use. So we're going to select the to-do list option, and we're going to give it a name, say yard sale to-do list. This becomes the file name, and it's the way you're going to find the file on your Google Drive. And if we just leave our placeholder names, it might be trickier to find after the fact. So now that we have opened this to-do list template, we have it open and available to us, we're going to create a to-do list for our pretend event. So let's take a look at my sheet. It may look a little different from what you've seen before, especially if you're familiar with Microsoft Excel, but it still has all the same elements. It has rectangular boxes known as cells. The cells are organized into rows, which are here numbered on the left-hand side. And it is also organized into columns, each of which is labeled with an alphabetical letter. Just like in Microsoft Excel, that means that each and every cell in our file has a unique name. And this part's going to sound a little like Battleship, so I'm sorry for that. But if I click on a specific cell, let's say this one, you'll notice that it is in column C and row 1. That means the name of this cell is C1. We can navigate around my file either by clicking directly on the cell, as I'm doing on the screen, or by using the directional arrows on my keyboard. We can also add text, formatting, formulas, and functions to cells. They can do an awful lot for us. Because you're using a template specifically for a to-do list, there's already some formatting here. You'll notice I have a check mark column, a date column, and a task column. I can add additional information here, and my list goes quite a ways down. I could always add more rows though if I need it. Let's say it's a really complicated party and I need more than 50 cells. All right, what would be a good thing? Maybe find location for party. That would be a good one. And we'll put today's date. Well, maybe my party's coming up, so I'm going to also add order catering coming up next week. All I had to do to add information to the cells was to select a specific cell, again, either by clicking with my mouse or using the directional arrows on the keyboard, and to start typing. Not too bad, right? Once an event's done, my pre-made to-do list here also has the option for me to mark something as completed. So I can add a little check mark here. You'll notice my task is still listed. It hasn't disappeared, so if I need to double check something, it's still available. But it has the text now has a strike through. And I can do so here as well. Now let's say you want to collaborate with several people and delegate the responsibilities to get your event going. It's no fun to plan a party all by yourself, especially if it's something complicated. You can add an additional column for, we'll call it owner. We're going to add. If I right-click on top of my column, I get all these additional options, including an option to insert a column. I'm going to say I'm going to insert it to the right. I'm going to say owner. Now, if I click inside one of these cells, I can start to add names in the rows below. Now, what we have here is a really basic template. Black text, white background, green header, white text. Maybe you like that. Maybe that works. You can, however, change all the colors and stylings of this pre-made template to suit something that maybe works with your brand a bit better, or maybe you just don't like the color green. So let's start by replacing the green. If I click on one of these green cells here and look up to the top of the screen where all my options for font and color and things like that are, you notice I have a little paint bucket icon here. That's our fill color button. By clicking on that, I get a whole menu of other colors that I could switch to. Maybe I like this cornflower blue. I'm going to go through and clicking on that paint bucket for each cell and replacing it with cornflower blue. Now it's nice, but it's going to take me a little bit of time. So I could also, holding my left mouse button down, drag to highlight and select all of the cells here that have that green fill. And I'm going to switch them all to blue. There we go. That's a little nicer. We can also adjust the font size, style, or color by selecting a group of cells in the same way. Let's say I want to select everything in my cell. So I'm going to take all of the columns A through D, and I'm going to say, no, I don't really like the Roboto font. I'm going to switch to Arial. And I'm going to make it slightly larger there. Very nice. Now it's nice and clear and legible. All right, so now we have a sheet with a task list, a list of dates, a check mark box to indicate whether a task has been completed, and we've added a column to show who the responsible party for that specific task is. So let's think about how we could use Google Sheets for other everyday tasks. For example, you could use Sheets for anything you need to organize, not just event planning. From employee schedules, family appointments, sports practice, shopping lists, Google Sheets could be used for anything you need to organize. And remember, just like we did with this to-do list, there are a lot of other templates available online to help you get started with pretty much any project. Now we're only touching very, very briefly on the Google Suite in these Lunch and Learns, but there's lots more to see and lots more applications to find. For example, we can also see on my screen a number of other applications that we did not even touch on. You may want to explore, for example, Google Forms, which we could use to create surveys to collect feedback from others. Slides, which is sort of like Microsoft PowerPoint. It allows us to make presentations to share with the group. Google Calendar, to create appointments and book meetings. Google Hangouts, which we at the library love. It's basically like an instant messaging service. It also allows you to have video conferencing and message people remotely. Or Google Sites, which allows you to create your own website for a business or to share your work portfolio. Again, we've barely scratched the surface of all the features that Google applications offer, and I hope you've been thinking of ways you can use these digital tools in your own work or personal life. If today's workshop interested you and you'd like to learn more, you'll find more information online at google.com/grow. Thank you very much for your time today, and I hope you enjoyed this video. From all of us at the Turner Free Library, we hope you're staying safe and well, and we hope to see you soon.